Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome everybody to the Reno City Planning Commission meeting Thursday, April 5th, 2012. If I could get everybody to please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Kevin Weisky.
Here.
Dennis Romeo. Here. Doug Kaufman.
Here.
Patty Egan is absent. Buzz Harris is also absent. Dagny Stapleton. Here. Jason Woosley.
Here.
Thank you, Michelle. Next on our agenda this evening is item number 3, public comment. This item is for either general public comment or for public comment on an action item. If commenting on an action item, please place the agenda item number on the request to speak form. Michelle, do we have any requests to speak forms?
No, we do not.
Is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak under public comment who has not filled out a request to speak form? Hearing and seeing none, I will close public comment. Next on our agenda this evening is approval of meeting minutes of March 7th, 2012. And we do have an amended set of meeting minutes. Commissioner Kaufman?
I move to approve the revised meeting notes.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Romeo, for a second. Any discussion or additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. City Council liaison reports.
Chair Weisky, are you going to do a separate vote for the workshop minutes?
Yes, well, I can. We had also last month, on the same evening, we had a workshop. Those meeting minutes were not amended. Commissioner Kaufman?
Move to approve.
Thank you. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Stapleton?
I have a comment.
Comment, please.
I'm sorry I tried to beat you, Doug, to the punch, but
That's
I missed.
okay.
I was reviewing these minutes, and we had that long discussion on the urban agriculture, and it's in the minutes, but it's not added as a goal in the list of goals. And I know we added it as a goal, and it kind of says that. It says to add it to the goals, but then in the bullet points, it's not there. So the way that I remember it is that it would be added also as a goal. Did anybody else notice that in the minutes?
I didn't pick up on
Or
that, but I do
remember that
recall
when-
we
from
were
that
adding it as a
discussion?
goal, yes.
Right, so if we could just add that, the bullet points halfway down that last page, that I think research and, just to research and address urban agriculture land use within city limits.
Could you, after the meeting, give your revision to Michelle for the meeting minutes?
Yeah, if that sounds okay to all the commissioners.
Okay. Commissioner Kaufman, would you like to recall your
I'd love to.
amendment
Move to approve the amended minutes
for the
for
workshop?
the workshop.
Thank you. I have a motion. Commissioner Stapleton? Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, comments, additions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Dagny. City liaison reports? None? Okay. Public hearings. First on our agenda this evening is LDC 12-00036, Esplanade at Damonte Ranch/Village 24 condition amendment. If the representative's applicant will introduce himself, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, for the record, Andy Durling with Wood Rogers, representing D.R. Horton. The request in front of you today is an amendment to condition number 2, which is the number of lots and number of final maps. This has been amended by this commission once before. Originally, it was set at 100 lots as a minimum. It was amended back in 2008 to 36 lots. Unfortunately, we are still in a market that pretty much stinks. So we're trying to add some flexibility and amend the condition again to allow for NRS minimum. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Andy. Staff?
Vern Klaus, Senior Planner. Annie summed it up pretty well. I received 6 phone calls. They were all just informational questions. And once I explained what was going on, people were fine with it. Again, this is the case that you've seen several times recently. We're just trying to keep the map alive, and that's what this will accomplish. They have to record a final map with at least 5 lots in August of this year, or the rest of the final map or tentative map will expire. That concludes my presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Vern. With that, I will open public comment. Michelle, do we have any requests to speak for us?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Is there anyone here this evening who would like to speak on this agenda item who has not filled out a request to speak for him? Hearing and seeing none, I will close public comment, bring it back to the commission for questions, discussion, or a motion. Commissioner Kaufman?
In the case of LDC 12-00036, based upon compliance with the applicable findings, I move to approve the amendment to Condition 2 for LDC 06-00145, the Esplanade at Damonte Ranch Village 24, File 2, as written in this memo.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Commissioner Woosley?
Yes, I second it, and I can also make the findings.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good luck, Andy. Next on our agenda this evening is LDC 12-00037, Coral Academy of Science. At this time, I need to recuse myself. My company has interviewed for this project with the applicant, and therefore, after a conference with Marilyn Craig, Deputy City Attorney, it has been determined and agreed to that I recuse myself. So, Vice Chair Romeo, it's your meeting.
And we have also, the City Attorney's Office has put into the record a statement from the City Attorney that we agree with the recusal in this case.
Thank you, Marilyn. Let the record show Chairman Weisky has left chambers. This is case LDC 12-00037, the Corral Academy of Science. The applicant's rep could please identify themselves.
Good evening, Commissioners. John Krompatek with KLS Planning, representing the applicant, who is Coral Academy of Science. Certainly we're in agreement with the staff report. I think staff did a thorough job of showing the analysis of the zone change. I think the key issues really are compatibility with surroundings. You see that it is a public facility to the north, an existing hospital, and then also the school that exists to the east of the property with freeway on the south side. So it looks to be, in terms of zoning compatibility and intensity, a good fit to that surroundings. I think one of the real positives in a deal like this is that because we're doing some adaptive reuse of a building, we don't have another potential vacant big building. So I think that's a very positive thing in this real estate market and from a city planning point of view. So with that, I don't have much further to discuss. I'll be glad to take any questions. Also, Mr. Ock, who is the executive director, if you want to get into the operation of the school or any questions for him, he is in the audience this evening as well, so thank you.
Thank you, John. City's representative, Nathan.
Thank you, Commissioners. Nathan Gilbert, Associate Planner. This is a zone change to public facility. We certainly concur with Mr. Krompatek's statements. Public facility is a reasonable zone for this area. Staff can make the findings and suggest a recommendation from the Planning Commission to City Council for a zone change.
Thank you, Nathan. This is a public hearing. I'll open public comment. Michelle, do we have any comment cards, people that wish to speak on this item?
No, we do not.
Is there anyone in the audience that has not filled out a card that would like to speak on this item? I will then close public comment, bring it back to the board for discussion, questions, or motion.
Vice Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Woosley.
In case number LDC 12-00037, Coral Academy of Science, Based on the compliance of the applicable findings, I move to recommend the City Council approve the zoning map amendment to the ordinance. I can make all the findings.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Kaufman.
I'll second that motion. I can make the findings.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show the vote is unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. With that, we will move on. Next on our agenda is, excuse me, item number 3, LDC LDC 12-00030, 1 Elm Court Solar Array. This item is being postponed until next month, May 2nd meeting, due to a noticing issue that was brought to the city's attention. So we will move on to item number 4, LDC 12-00034, Idlewild Market. The applicant's representative will come forward, please. You will have 15 minutes. If you will introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sadiq Patankar on behalf of the proposed Idlewild Market project. This is a request for a minor special use permit. The property is 595 Booth Street at Booth and California. It is located near an existing strip mall. Property is already zoned at neighborhood commercial. So only change is we are changing it from office use to store use. The proposed zoning will be the same. It used to be a city bank that's been closed for about 5 years. We would like to open a small 2,000 square feet convenience store called Idlewild Market. There are no structural changes. We hope to operate about 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. This would create approximately 6 jobs. And we don't expect any impact in terms of noise, traffic, odor, smoke, or dust. And as I indicated before, it's a small convenience store.
Thank you very much. Staff.
Thank you, Commissioners. Nathan Gilbert, Associate Planner. Neighborhood commercial uses do allow for convenience stores with a special use permit. That's what's before you this evening. We have received 1 inquiry regarding the project and 2 statements in opposition. One resident that was noticed, I believe, is here to speak in opposition to it. The concerns were related to traffic and garbage, lighting, and signage, and how this would be adequately addressed. Staff can make the findings as conditioned. We've also presented information for your purview regarding an ordinance that's in process now related to simulated drug paraphernalia. This has been a concern of the Commission before, and how convenience stores address the retailing of these sorts of things. We presented that. It's not as a condition, but it is presented for your information that should the City Council choose to adopt that, this convenience store would be precluded due to its proximity to the high school. Again, staff can make the findings for the convenience store in the neighborhood commercial zone, and recommends approval.
Thank you, Nathan. With that, I will open public comment. Michelle, do we have any requests to speak forms?
No, we do not.
Okay, is there anyone here this evening who wishes to speak on this agenda item who has not filled out a request to speak form? If you would come forward, please. You might want to pull that microphone down a little bit so we can hear you. If you would do me a favor, and that's okay, introduce yourself, and then afterwards, if you would see Michelle and fill out a brief little form that we have, that would be great.
Okay.
Welcome.
My name is Sue Hosking, and I live at 1413 Westfield, which is about a half a block from where the proposed new convenience store They want the special permit. I have a lot of concerns about this special permit. The traffic is one of my major concerns. It is almost impossible to get out of Westfield when school is in session during the morning between about 7:30 and 8:30. And then at lunchtime, the students pretty much take over the entire street and the parking lot where the old bank building was, as well as the shopping center. Then trying to get out of Westfield when the school lets out between about 2:15 and 2:45, it's just a nightmare. I mean, it is a total traffic jam. I've even seen students pulling their cars up onto the sidewalks to try to get to certain lanes to make turns. So I have a lot of concerns about the increased traffic congestion. I also have concerns about the trash because there's no room at the rear of the building for your regular trash bins. So I'm wondering where their trash bins are going to be and if they are going to put them in the front parking lot, and are they going to be enclosed? I have concerns about the lighting because at the present time they have two large lighting like floodlights at the beginning of the building, at the front of the building. But if they want to be open till 11, I would think they would want more lighting just as a safety precaution. And I'm wondering how, I'm surprised that some of the residents that are very close have not showed some concern about having those lights going until 11 o'clock at night. And another concern is that there's a 7-Eleven across the street. So we have a major convenience store across the street from this building. And the signage. I have concerns about the signage. And when I was reading the staff reports, they say all these things will be brought to code and have to be maintained by code. But I have concerns about who's going to enforce those codes with the cutbacks in the city and the layoffs. Are there enough code enforcement officers to take care of these things? Because I know I called a few months ago about a code violation within my neighborhood, and I was told at that time that there were over 100 open cases, code violations, and that they only have to work on the ones that have to concerned with health and safety. So I'm concerned that even though they say all these things are going to be done, who's going to be watching to make sure? Because there's a lot of trash there already from the high school. Lots of trash all the time, and it's not picked up on a daily basis. So are they going to have employees taking care of that? And are there going to be employees inside keeping an eye and monitoring the kids? Because I know, like I said, I don't live far from there, and I've had 2 different instances where there have been police chasing kids down my street and into my backyard for stealing stuff from the CVS store there. So my last concern is...
If you could wrap that up, please, Sue. Your
I'm
3
sorry.
minutes are up.
It's
That's okay.
that they can sell adult magazines. And I think that having pornography within that close period, it's too close to the high school and to a family neighborhood. So I'm opposed on that.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here this evening who wishes to speak under public comment? Hearing and seeing none, I will close public comment, bring it back to the commission for questions and discussion. Commissioner Stapleton.
Yeah, I have 2 questions, one for Nate and one for Marilyn, both about the proposed ordinance that has to do with the simulated drug paraphernalia. You said that if the council approves that ordinance, that this business would be precluded or included?
It would be precluded from selling simulated drug paraphernalia due to its proximity to the high school.
Oh, okay. It would be included in it would fall
would
under
not
the
be allowed
ordinance.
to sell simulated drug paraphernalia as the ordinance is drafted currently.
Okay.
But to clarify, it has not been adopted. The business impact statement was heard for public comment, and that's all that has happened with that. But we just wanted to bring that to your attention since that has been an issue with previous convenience stores in this zoning district for the commission before.
Right. No, that's something that's important to me, and I was going to ask you or Marilyn if you could just give a little bit of background on that, on the process of that. Where is it coming to City Council for a vote? Is it something that has already been vetted? Is this language coming to Council soon? And just a little bit of background on what exactly it's simulated drug paraphernalia, so it's things that can appear as if they could be used to use drugs with.
I'll defer that to Marilyn Craig, as it's being vetted through the city attorney's office currently.
And I don't have any particular information about that. The applicant does have his hand up, so I'm not sure where it is in that process.
Okay, my understanding from talking with the business relations manager is that it's currently being vetted through the city attorney's office to work with the ACLU to find some common ground before they take it back to the city council. I'll let the commission discuss it, and I think the applicant may want to, if you would like to invite him.
You may want to call the applicant up for a
Yeah,
comment.
if I can do that. Yeah, if you have
Absolutely.
something to add to that, please.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. I appreciate, Mr. Chairman, a chance to speak on 2 points. We are willing to volunteer.
First, if you will just address the questions that Commissioner Stapleton has,
Yes, sir.
please.
Just what I asked before about my concern is the drug paraphernalia, simulated drug paraphernalia being sold across the street from the high school. I know that's something that the community is concerned about and the council is considering. So my question is, I was curious where that ordinance is, and yeah, since you're here, if you could tell us if you will be selling that, if I'm allowed to ask that. Yeah.
Ma'am, we are very aware of
Pipes, we're talking about pipes.
Proximity to the school, and we are willing to volunteer and even offer in writing that we have no intention of selling any drug paraphernalia or any pornographic material. And we are willing to volunteer that and provide that in writing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner Stapleton.
That's all. I don't know if anybody has any. I have something to add to discussion when we're done with questions, but
Okay, that's your only
I just want
question.
to look at the.
Okay. Commissioner Romeo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Marilyn, can we condition that the applicant has voluntarily agreed to follow the new regulations even if they're not in place today? Could that be a general condition to the permit?
As long as he has offered to, I didn't hear him say he agreed to follow the new regulations. I heard him say that he agreed not to sell drug paraphernalia, and this is a little bit different. And also pornographic material. Well, there's a number of magazines and so forth which might be objectionable but would not necessarily be classified as pornographic. So I think you need to ask him if he is willing to comply with either the proposed simulated drug paraphernalia ordinance, either this one or any similar ordinance that is adopted
And
by council.
would you please come back up, sir? Well, if it's not adopted, it's not adopted. For the record, would you agree to adhere to, Marilyn, help me here,
Okay.
to adhere to whatever ordinance the city passes regarding simulated drug paraphernalia for sale at convenience stores?
Yes.
You would, and that could be added as a condition.
And that can be added with the notation that he has agreed, and therefore, based on his agreement, it is part of the conditions.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Nathan?
Could I clarify, if the city passes it, then they would be subject to it regardless, so
Absolutely, but I mean from the get-go, if it takes 6 months, if it takes 6 months to do it,
Is that
From,
the draft ordinance that was attached in the staff, because if the city
yes,
adopts it, they would
the
be
draft
subject.
report would go into effect now prior to council approving that draft ordinance.
That's what we want to clarify.
And
That's what we want to have the applicant committed to, and that's what he has offered and committed to.
And does he understand that it's, even if it's right now, as of, if you
It's-
approve it tonight, then he has to comply
That-
with this ordinance?
that would be a condition of approval. You understand that?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Commissioner, I do understand that,
Okay.
and I understand it's under the approval process, and it may or may not get approved. But despite the end result, we are volunteering to not sell these pornographic materials or the drug paraphernalia.
Very
And
good.
I fully understand that.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you very
thank
much. I think that's clear. Thank you.
And then I have a question for Nathan, I think. Nathan? Do-
That tie's a little tight, huh?
I didn't see anything in the staff report about garbage collection or the enclosure, that sort of thing, to bring up the citizens' concern. Would that follow standard city regulations and waste management pickup schedules?
That would. From my conversations with the speaker, concerns were from garbage that were coming from the kids in the high school that were hanging out in the parking lot. Presumably, a business, a site that has an active business would be more proactive in addressing the garbage. But as far as waste management, yes, that would just follow standard procedure.
And that would be enforced by Nate, or by Alex, code enforcement?
Code enforcement would.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Woosley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nathan, questions for you again? Thank you. Also, to kind of go back to conversation, the concerns of the speaker before, we were talking about trips, and before this was a bank, correct?
Correct.
Would you say that average trips per day would be somewhere on par? Yeah, I probably should
I'll
call
let
that.
Bill go.
Yeah. Similar to the bank that used to be there versus a convenience store?
Yeah, Bill Gall, for the record, senior civil engineer. Yeah, actually, they didn't provide any trip generation in the report. I did trip generation for myself for it, based on this size location. Trip generation for the bank was actually 44 in the AM and 86 on a PM, and they actually stated that the bank trip generation peaks were in the 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. range, so that those peaks would kind of coincide with some of the traffic that the school would generate during lunch hour. The peak generation for the convenience store was 67 in the AM and 74 in the PM, showing an increase of about 23 in the AM peak hour, and actually a slight decrease in the PM peak hour. So they are very, very similar, and the total peak generations are much lower than anything we would require for a traffic impact study.
Great, thank you. And Nathan, one more question for you. As far as the lighting goes, I imagine a bank would have floodlights on it, but that would only be for emergency's sake. I mean, those wouldn't be normal under normal code. Lighting for a convenience store and a lighting for a bank would go under the same code, correct?
They're not proposing any changes to the lighting other than what's already there.
Right.
Any changes that they would be to implement would need to follow standard code.
As well as signage, correct?
As well as signage.
Great, thank you very much.
Commissioner Kaufman.
Nathan? You're getting your exercise today. Okay, the signing or the lighting is existing, right?
That's correct.
But is that dark sky lighting? Do we know that?
I don't know the answer.
Normally on a new facility like this, that's usually in part of the conditions, where they have dark sky lighting. I mean, I would think we'd still want that.
We have a change of use, so this will be, there's nothing in code that would make them switch to a dark sky lighting. That's something that could possibly, the Planning Commission could request. But the change of use itself would not warrant code to trigger them to downgrade any existing lighting.
Okay.
Commissioner Kaufman, can I jump in on this conversation with you? Nathan, would this then, I believe what you're saying, would be an appropriate time to condition for down lighting? In their packet, they've provided us with pictures showing some lighting that's existing lighting that's attached from the building that shines directly out away from the building, which is what we're getting away from. We're looking for more dark skies or down lighting. This would be the appropriate time to condition, correct?
This would be the time.
Thank you. Does that help, Commissioner Kaufman? Thank you. Any further questions?
No. Thank you.
Bill Gall, I have a question for you, please, sir. The existing north entrance, egress, ingress, drive aisle is on the egress, is that a right turn only lane or supposed to be as the way it's striped?
You know, to be honest with you, I could not tell you. I went out there, I went out there at lunch hour and I did not notice it.
I mean, because of its
due to
close proximity to the intersection.
It would be better off served as a right turn only, as you look at it.
Okay.
So.
Because in their photographs, I don't see any signage that appears to dictate a right turn only onto Booth Street. But don't you feel, from an engineering standpoint, because of its proximity, close proximity to the intersection, we should condition it for a right turn only sign?
There's going to be backup issues if you don't for right turn only at certain rush hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be very comfortable with making that a right exit only.
Okay. Thank you very much. Nathan, stay there. I don't have any questions for you. Okay. Any further questions? Commissioner Stapleton.
Question and a comment. I just wanted to follow up on Commissioner Romeo's concerns and clarify adding a condition about the drug paraphernalia. Since the applicant has voluntarily said that they would not sell any simulated drug paraphernalia or pornography in the store, I would suggest that the condition include pornography and that the conditions say that the applicant agrees not to sell any simulated drug paraphernalia as defined in the drafted ordinance, and that in my mind that would imply that even if that ordinance does not pass, that the applicant is still bound to that condition.
Marilyn, would you like to respond to that, please?
Okay.
I'm looking at you, sorry, Marilyn.
If he has agreed, and it sounds like he has, to comply with the ordinance, the proposed ordinance as is attached to the staff report, then he would be required to comply with that for all times unless it was supplanted by an ordinance that was adopted by the city council. That's what I understood your intent was. Okay. Yeah. Now, the term pornography is a little bit different because pornography is more difficult to define.
If I could make a suggestion, the code has a lengthy description of what adult material is, and that might be sufficient. So it goes to great lengths to define adult material that would otherwise be subject.
And that's already in the code.
Correct.
Right.
Okay, so then that I would suggest that that condition includes the definition of the simulated drug paraphernalia as well as
adult material.
He agrees not to have any adult material as currently defined in the code.
You can do that if you want, but I mean, it already is in the code, so he can't.
There. Oh, he is already prohibited because there are.
No, the code allows up to 200 square feet of adult material, which you might commonly refer to as pornography.
Okay.
That's not necessarily a Playboy, but the code is explicit if you
okay, well, going forward, we'll refer to it as adult material. I think we all know what we mean.
Yeah. So code does allow for any retail business to have up to 20%, excuse me, 200 square feet of retail area allocated to that, so long as certain measures are taken to preclude minors from accessing that material for sale. What I think I'm hearing being suggested is that provision that allows a small area of retail space to sell adult material be precluded as a condition of approval.
And he has.
That's what I'm suggesting, and I think that's what the applicant agreed to do.
I don't know whether he knows what he's agreeing to because he has not seen that particular code. And I don't have that code with me, but we could get a copy of that code so that he can see what he's agreeing to. Is it in 18?
we haven't seen, we don't know exactly what that includes. While we're looking that up, I had one comment to add, that, you know, and for the benefit of the other commissioners, that I do have a concern about this being right across from a high school, adjacent to a high school, and
Commissioner, it was actually included as Exhibit B in the staff report.
oh, it was, the
Yes.
definition of adult material was?
Exception for an adult bookstore, and it has locational criteria.
It's in the staff report?
That's correct, it's Exhibit B. It
Nathan,
talks-
you said Exhibit D is in David?
Exhibit B
Oh,
is in
I
boy.
see
B
it,
is in
I'm
boy.
sorry, I see it, it's at the back of the site
Marilyn and
plan.
Vern, it is already in the staff report.
It's at the
under
back of the site
Exhibit
plan.
B is in boy?
The exceptions to where typically an adult bookstore, which sells adult material, is limited to certain areas. There's exceptions in code that allow, as I said, any retail operation to sell a certain percentage of their floor area to adult material. That's Exhibit B is in boy in your staff report, and that's my understanding, that what would otherwise be allowed at this location, it would be a condition of approval that adult material not be allowed as normally.
Okay, this doesn't define adult material, it just has the clause about the adult bookstore?
This is the exceptions
it.
to where adult material can be sold. So that this explains that there's a certain percentage of floor area allowed in any retail operation in the city.
Okay.
That's what's here. Would you like the definition of adult material? It's lengthy.
Marilyn,
Yeah, my concern is that the applicant understand what he's agreeing to. Obviously, the exceptions are there, and he's saying, that's fine, I'm willing to give up my right to those exceptions. That's what I understand him to say. I wanted him to understand what adult material was. He's referring to the word pornography, and it is quite a lengthy definition. And as long as he is willing to waive that, whether he understands it or not, as long as he's willing to say that he's agreeable not to display the adult materials as provided for in the Reno Municipal Code, then we can proceed. So I just want to make sure that he knows what he's doing
need to
and
ask the
that he's satisfied. So let's get him up here and ask him.
okay, all
Marilyn,
right.
being that it's already in the staff report and precluded in the staff report, and the applicant has agreed to the staff report, do we still need to have him go through and read the definitions and agree to it again?
If he is satisfied that he knows what he's doing and he's had the opportunity, we're giving him that opportunity right now. And if he wants to say, no, I'm okay, I am willing to proceed without further reading or
Okay.
anything else, then I'm fine with that too. I want to give him that opportunity because it's not listed, all the things that he has referred to as pornography when we call it adult material.
I understand. Thank you. If the applicant's representative will come forward, please. You've been listening to our discussion.
Yes,
You've been
and-
listening to our deputy city attorney. Do you understand what is being precluded by the exemption of adult material in the staff report? Or would you like a few minutes to read it? It's not a problem. We have time.
Okay, I would prefer to speak with the deputy attorney.
Okay,
for
very
a
good.
minute.
I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. We will re-adjourn at 6:45.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Re-adjourn or reconvene the meeting. Thank you, Vern. And if the applicant, please, you've had an opportunity to meet with staff and our deputy city attorney. Are you in agreement with the definition of adult material, you understand it, and you agree with eliminating it from your business.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Currently, the material that requires to be cordoned off in current statutes or current regulation, we are giving up a right to sell any of that material that currently would require to be cordoned off, the adult pornographic or whatever you want to name it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Stapleton, are you satisfied with that answer?
Yes, I'm satisfied
Great.
with that answer.
Good. Okay. Marilyn, you're okay?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Okay. Further discussions? Commissioner Stapleton, you had some comments?
Yeah, just, I did have some comment. That just in reviewing this, I am very concerned about a liquor store, convenience store, that's the name and code. It's a store that sells liquor as well as smoke, tobacco products and other things. And I am concerned about a store like that across to, nearly adjacent to a high school. I have experiences with stores of this type, and while the majority of them are, you know, like the 7-Eleven and clean, and there are many where it's a whole different ball game, and in my mind, that this use is not appropriate for being adjacent directly to a high school and where the majority of the traffic probably is going to be kids under 18. That said, I appreciate the applicant's efforts to ensure that no drug paraphernalia or pornography will be sold in the store.
Or
Some of the
adult
ones.
material?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I said I would refer to it as adult material. Adult material. My experiences with some of the other types of convenience, with some convenience stores, which in my mind, in my experience, would not be appropriate near to a high school, have those types of things. And so if the applicant, if we could approve this with that condition, it would make me comfortable that that this use would be okay near to the high school. And I appreciate the applicant making that effort to put those conditions upon yourself to make sure that it's appropriate for something to be next to a school.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Commissioner Coughlin?
Yeah, I would like to be able to add the dark skies issue of those lights too.
Okay. And I'm not opposed to that whatsoever. I agree with your, and I thought that was good of you to pick that up. Any further discussion? I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Romeo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Case of LDC 12-00034. Based upon compliance with the applicable findings, I move to approve the special use permit subject to existing conditions and with the addition of conditions regarding the sale of simulated drug paraphernalia that the applicant has agreed to voluntarily comply with regardless of City Council passing, and also with the addition to the restriction of adult material that he also agreed to restrict. I would also like to add a second condition that would condition the exterior lighting to be replaced with down lighting to more closely comply with dark skies. And I would also like to see condition 3 added, that the north driveway be clearly identified as a right turn only driveway. I can make the findings with these added conditions.
Thank you. I have a motion with added conditions. Do I have a second? Commissioner Stapleton?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Do I have any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Good luck with your project. And I would like to explain something or read something also. Any action taken by the Planning Commission on a tentative map, special use permit, variance, or skyway is final unless appealed. Any person aggrieved by the decision may file an appeal. Each person or entity must make his, her, its own appeal. Appeals must be filed with the city clerk within 10 days of the Planning Commission hearing by submitting the appropriate form and fee. All other matters will be forwarded to the City Council with the Planning Commission recommendation. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And Mr. Chairman, would you also just note for the record that if there is a problem of a question of some sort, that members of the public can contact Reno Direct 334-2099 and request a review by code enforcement.
Thank you very much. Sue, did you understand that that phone number is 334-2090? I'm sorry, 2099. That is our Reno City Direct, and you can call them. That goes directly to code enforcement. Code enforcement will respond to all complaints within 24 hours, I believe it is what Alex has said. It may be 48 hours from the time that the complaint is filed. Then they go through their paperwork process and so forth and so on. If you have any concerns, that's the number to call, and that department is well-staffed, and they are very aggressive and very eager to help the community from those who are not abiding by the rules and regulations that have been put before them. And they're a great group of people, so please use them. We all do. Thank you. Okay. Next on our agenda this evening is item number 5, TXT 12-00002, UNRC Amendment for Industrial Land Uses. Vern, welcome.
Good evening again, Vern Close, Senior Planner. This is a text amendment to add industrial uses back to the area that's shown on the map. This area has was historically zoned industrial, and with the institution of the UNRC Regional Center Plan, this area was brought into the regional center. During the interim, until the university actually acquires this property, what this will do is allow a lot of the existing industrial and historic industrial uses there to remain as conforming uses. The way the ordinance is set up to be amended is that that can occur until the university acquires the property. Then, if it's an existing industrial use that's allowed, it becomes non-conforming and reverts back to the standards of the UNRC. But if that use is there and wants to continue, they would continue based on what non-conformance allows. So if the university acquires it, the use doesn't go away, it just becomes non-conforming, kind of like it is now, or some of them are now. In the ordinance, there are a number of uses that have been precluded, and these were potentially obnoxious uses that were felt better off not allowing them to be reinstituted, and we don't believe that any of those uses are up there right now. But there is one use that we have on the suggested prohibited list is tattoo parlors, and that we're suggesting that that be placed in as an allowed use due to First Amendment concerns. And if you have any specific questions, Ms. Craig will be happy to answer them. So again, the area is shown cross-hatched on the map. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but this will allow some of these industrial properties to be put to productive use until such time as the university acquires them, and that might be a number of years from now. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Vern.
Thank you.
With that, I will open public comment. Michelle, do we have any requests to speak forms on this agenda item?
No, we do not.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in the audience this evening who wishes to speak on this agenda item who has not filled out a request to speak form? Hearing and seeing none, I close public comment, bring it back to the commission for comments, questions, discussion, motion. Commissioner Woosley.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion. In case number TXT 12-000002, UNRC Amendment to Industrial Land Uses. Based on the compliance with the capital findings, I move to recommend that City Council approve the text amendment by ordinance.
Thank you, and that includes the amendment for
And-
tattoo parlors?
And that includes the amendment for tattoo parlors that stated by,
To add tattoo parlors back in as an allowed use.
add it back in, correct,
As an allowed use.
as an allowed use to this application.
Thank you very much. I have a motion. Do I have a second? Commissioner Stapleton?
I can second the motion.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Vern. Item number 6 on our agenda for public hearings was pulled. So we move on to item number 7, Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Liaison Report. Commissioner Romeo? We did have a meeting last month. Data model.
Oh, that's right. We went over data modeling, a rather lengthy presentation, very informative, however. Next meeting will be in May.
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is staff announcements. Vern, staff announcements? None? Okay. Announcements for upcoming training opportunities. We received a memo this evening, which was actually for today from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if you got educated, great. If you didn't, you missed it. So therefore, there's no, is there anything, Vern, on action items taken by City Council that we should know about? No, none? Okay, thank you. Commissioners' suggestions for agenda items? None? Okay. Public comment. This public comment item is to allow the public to provide general public comment and not for comment on individual action items contained on this agenda. Michelle, with that, I will open public comment. Do we have any requests to speak forms?
No, we do not.
Okay. Is there anyone here this evening who wishes to speak under this public comment agenda item? Hearing and seeing none, close public comment, and we will adjourn until 7 o'clock or shortly thereafter. We're going to take a short break before we start the workshop. Thank you very much.